Hi guys, it's me UBprogrammer, and today we will see how we can create an API in Django. That means we want to send some data in Django and we want to process it, or we want to get some data from Django, right? And it will be using by Django REST framework. That means it can be used in any or integrated with any framework which you can find on web, like React. React is a library, the Next.js or Angular or anything, right? Which can use REST functionality. Okay, so let's get started. If you are working on any custom project, you can fill out this form and we can discuss about that. Okay, let's see how we can do this. First of all, I will close this down. You have to go to Django REST framework documentation, because I don't want you to believe that I know everything in my mind, because you have to see documentation of every framework which you are learning. Okay, so let's see how we can do this. Create a new folder. I will just name it as Django API. Come right here. I will open this in code. I will open a terminal and I'll create a brand new Django project so that we can go through it together. Django admin start project, and the project name is my API project. Okay, it's done. I will go to this directory, my API project, and I will start or create a new app here. Start app and my API. I will name it as my API because I am creating an API. Okay, so let's start this server now. My python manage.py run server. Okay, here we have my API, here we have my API project, and it is up and running. But we want to use Python Django REST framework. The command to install, just write here command to install Django REST framework, and you will get a command which is pip install python rest Django REST framework. Here it is, pip install Django REST framework. I have already done it. You have to do it if you are working for first time. Okay, so we have our project up and running. First thing I want to do is register this app into my project. How we can do this? Go to settings.py and just go here and write the name of the app. The other thing I want to do is register REST framework. And why I'm doing this? Because this line I know I have to register it because I have learned Django and all that. But for REST framework, this come from this documentation, because you have to know the source. Otherwise, you will see the videos and always see the videos. You will not be able to do anything on your own, right? So if I go here in the quick start, because every documentation I believe have a quick start, you can see I have something here, and pagination settings, they are saying add REST framework to installed app. That's the source of it, because I don't want you to believe that everybody knows by itself, right? Okay, so REST framework. Now I can use all the functionality of REST framework in my projects. Okay, my API, and in the views, all of your logic of API goes here. Let's say I want to create an API which receives some data from the postman. I will do the practical here also on the postman, and it returns the data to the postman. So receive and return. That's the like core of the API. What other thing you can do, right? So I will create a function. I will name it as test API, and I will say that some data is received. just just create a blueprint, right? And something is received, and we will return our own data, and data to return. And this can be a JSON or dictionary, right? So I will just return my name and okay. Okay, I want to return this to whoever is using my API. Data to return. Okay, what it's saying, expression cannot be assignment. Okay, don't know what it is, but was not closed, but I have closed it. What's this? I think it's have to do something with the finance. Okay, I got it now. I got it. Okay, cool. Dictionary, and we want to return it. Okay, data received is here. How we can do this now? You have to go to documentation, API guide, views, just explore it and you will get something, right? So here I have many functions. API view, I am looking for it. It looks something like that. So API view, I want to create an API with the get and post. Get is to get the data, post is to send data from postman, right? Or from any client you are using, like React, Fetch API, or whatever. I will copy this line. They are saying you have to copy this and paste it in your views function. Okay, but it is saying you haven't import. So how we can import? Here are the importing statements. Response is to return something, right? So I will do this and wrap it in the response method. Okay, cool. But we haven't defined any URLs for that. How a user can access this API now? The main thing is this. Let's go to the project urls.py and define a new path, which will be anything which comes from API will go to my API URLs, right? API URLs. But here is not any file name URLs. So let's define one, urls.py, and I will say path include, and this also comes from the Django documentation. So just explore that and you will get it, right? Include and you will remember it after 2 3 years. Include what I want to include is my app name, my API dot URLs, and quote enclose it in the quotation. Okay, I believe we are good here. That means everything which is coming by this URL will go to my URLs of API. So let's copy this, define it here. I don't want to include it now because I have already done it. And admin one is not of my use because it's for project one. Now anything which is coming for test API will go where? Will go here, right? Test API function. So that means we have to import it in the URLs. So I will just go to from dot, that means from the current directory, import views. Views is right below of URLs. That means it's in same location and it can import it. Okay, so now I can say from views you have to, it is giving in the option, you have to run the API view. So whenever a user will come to this URL, it will render or execute this function views.api view. Okay, not API view, views.test API, right? Okay, no error. Let's see if we are getting this stuff in our postman. So let's open the postman. And one error I have noticed, or one bug, one mistake, is I haven't passed here request, because for API you want to send something also, right? So request is always be there, it should be always be there, and it is by syntax in Django. And I will see the request data or the data received as request data, request.data. These are all the syntax. Okay, so here is the URL. This is coming from here, and after this I have API URL which is here. So that means I have to include this API URL and then test API, which is coming from, yes, you got it, here. After this it will run views.py. Okay, let's see if it's running. Okay, okay, we got the error. We got the, but receives the class date. Okay, so we haven't, yeah, response was missing from here, has to be in right syntax. Okay, so we are successfully getting the data, at least my name Obed, exactly which we have sent, right? That means we have our API working, right? Now I want to receive data also in my postman, from my postman into my Python or Django. So data received, I will print it, it will print here. And let's point it out as symbols. That means after this it will print, and if I and data, and I will say I am from postman. I click it now. In the form data, I have this key, right? So if I do now, I am getting this data. I am from postman. How I can specifically get this data now? I can just because it is a query dict, that means a dictionary, right? So I can just grab the dictionary value by its name, because I know that I will be sending data as key name or dictionary name, so I can use that uh, in the Python. Okay, so now I am getting exactly the value of that data. I am from postman. I can do any processing from here. I can modify it and then return it after the processing of a powerful Python, and then return it to my front end. React, Angular, uh, whatever JavaScript frameworks you are using, right? Okay, so I hope you liked the video. I believe this was it for the Django API. There are other uh, functionalities like serializer and all that, but you can always Google it, or you can always go to the documentation and see how we can use them to our use case, right? Thanks for watching. I'll meet you in the next one.